In this video, we will look into example of creating an interface with default and static method and also an abstract method. And then afterwards, I'll be creating a class which will be implementing this interface and will be overriding those methods in that class. So let's create a new class, and class name is calculator, or interface name is calculator. So interface calculator will contain three methods. So it will contain three methods. One is the abstract, and abstract method is sum method, and public int sum or int num1 and num2. Now we have a default method which is subtract, and default int subtract and int num1 and int num2. And this default method will provide implementation, so we'll be returning just some num of 1 minus num of 2. So this is our implementation of the default method. Here I have to put integer. Okay. Now static. This static method is returning integer, and it is multiply operation, and it is multiplying num1 with num2, and return num1 multiplied by num2. As this interface satisfies the definition of functional interface, so we will define this as functional interface because it has exactly one abstract method. We can define multiple abstract method, but if you define multiple abstract method, then you have to remove the definition of functional interface. Let's create one more abstract method to see that. Abstract division method, and here public integer divide and integer num1 and integer num2. So you can see that as soon as we create another abstract method, we got an error: multiple non-overriding abstract method found in interface com.modernjava.default.calculator. As our example has nothing to do with that functional interface, so we'll just remove this, and let's go with these two abstract method and default method and default subtract method, and then multiply. Now let's create another class, and this Java class is math operations example. And this math operations example will implement calculator. Now it is complaining class must either be declared abstract or implement abstract method sum. So now implement methods, and we have only one abstract method which is sum, and the other abstract method was divide. So let's click on those and then override them. Now let's create our public static void main, and inside our public static void main will be create instance of this class math operation example, and math operation example is equal to new math operation example. And let's provide the implementation of sum and divide method. So return num of 1 plus num of 2. And also here return num1 divided by num2. Now you can see that we are not overriding our default and static methods because default and static method already have the implementation. So we are only overriding the methods which we need to override, which are abstract methods. Now let's print out sum of, just call these sum and divide method directly inside this main method, and math operation example dot sum, and number are 2 and 4. And let's print out sum. Now another one with divide, math operation example dot divide, and then 4 divided by 2. Now let's run this example. So you can see that sum is 6, divide is 2, which is good. Now what we'll be doing is that we'll be providing our own implementation, using lambda expression for sum and divide. So we'll again be implementation, not lambda. So in this case, what we'll be doing is that we'll again inside the main will be overriding this sum and divide using lambda expression. So let's see that. So what we'll be doing is that we'll be calling calculator. Calculator is equal to num1 and num2 dash num1 operator num2. Or let's do plus. Now the problem here is that we have two abstract methods, so it is confused because this is not a functional interface. So that's why it is confused that which one will take the num1 and num2. So that's why now what we'll do is that we'll go back to our interface and we'll change our interface to and remove our divide method directly from there, because we don't need two abstract method, we just need one abstract method. And what we'll be doing is that we'll be overriding this using lambda expression. So we override this over here by implementing this, but again we'll be overriding it inside the main class. So let's go back to our implementation of the calculator and change that and remove the second abstract method. So in this case, we will just remove the second abstract method. So now you can see that as soon as we remove the second abstract method, we can define or call using lambda expression, because lambda expression, if you remember, can only operate on functional interfaces where we only define one abstract. Now we are overriding this again inside this and saying that num1 and mod num2. And let's print out calculator sum calculator override using lambda. So in this case, we are just basically overriding this and providing our own implementation inside this. So in this case, calculator dot sum, and here what we'll do is at 3 and 2. And we have to remove the divide from here because we have taken the divide method off. Now let's run this. See, sum is 6, and then we again override it using the lambda expression, and using the mod of 3 or 2 is 1. Now let's implement our default, basically run our default and static methods. So in this case, out and subtract plus math operation example dot subtract. and 4 and 2. And south multiply plus, because multiply is a static method, so we can just call it directly by calculator.multiply and 4 and 2. Now let's run this example. You can see that subtract result is 2 and multiply result is 8. It is 4 multiplied by 2 is equal to 8 and 4 minus 2 is 2. So in this example, we create a functional interface with abstract and static methods and also a default method. So you can see that for the abstract method, we can provide implementation using the old way, or you can provide implementation using the new way with lambda expressions. And also you can call those methods directly without providing the implementation in the implementing classes, which is our math operation example. So subtract and multiply, which is default and static methods, are not being overridden in this class.